Thursday, June 26th, and the sports world is supposed to be in the dog days, but we are on high alert and high intensity right now everywhere. So much going on between the PGA Tour, Major League Baseball, the NHL draft, which is coming tomorrow, the NBA draft, which concludes today. A lot of head scratchers last night in the NBA draft. We're going to talk about all of them, a lot to get to in a little bit of time, but that's the way we like it. Vegas Mac, what is going on?
Oh, man, I'll tell you, that draft was something else last night. A lot of tears, happy tears, sad tears, confusing tears. But I have to tell you, I'm right off the top. This isn't just the NBA draft. I have a bone to pick. Every single time they show a scene of the team when they've made their pick, they're always happy. That can't be true. That's a lie. That's BS. I'm calling BS. You can't tell me every single pick that every team makes, they're happy. They're putting on a show. I'm just saying, I can't stand that. You can't always be happy. Either that or they kick the unhappy people out.
You're talking about the one that went like this last night? One Pat Riley? Or you could be Colin Murray Boyles, and everybody in the Toronto War Room was high-fiving and handshaking, and he gets up and he goes, fuck. Right on camera. Like, come on. Yeah. You knew you were going to be on camera.
Yeah, there was... I know. Like you said, there were a couple people that...
You mentioned the happy tears and the sad tears, and I didn't want to go right into Brooklyn's draft right away, but I mean, that's where a lot of those happy tears and sad tears came from. I think Brooklyn missed the memo that the change to the All-Star game is supposed to be the United States versus the world, not the regular season. I mean, the first team ever to make 5 picks in the first round of the NBA draft. Congratulations. However, you can't fumble the bag that bad with 5 picks in the first round of the NBA draft. Now, we know what the thing is for Brooklyn. They're trying to take on contracts, add assets, and I'm all for that. Obviously, it's worked, Mac, for the Oklahoma City Thunder. That being said, at some point, you have to go forward in the process. You can't keep kicking the can down the road. Hey, we're going to be really good in 2035. That doesn't sell tickets. And if you're Cam Johnson, poor Cam Johnson, like, what are we doing here, guys? You want me to re-sign a contract with you? What are we doing here?
Well, I mean, it's just like the 76ers. I mean, they're still promoting, trust the process. That's about 10 years in that right now. So maybe Brooklyn's doing the same thing. They just don't want to hire a PR guy. They'll just kind of roll with it.
Something like that. Brooklyn, I am available. If you need a PR guy, I am available. I will come at a cost. And I will only work remotely. So feel free to email us at mikearanashow@gmail.com. Sponsorship opportunities are available as well. Yes. So, a lot of things, a lot of head scratchers, a lot of favorites. I think the theme that we saw, Mac, and you mentioned the 76ers, they were in an interesting position, the Ace Bailey situation there. They decided to pass. But we saw the general theme, especially early on in the draft, the big athletic wings, and Philly did, I think, exactly what they should have done, exactly what fits for them. I'm really excited to see how VJ Edgecombe develops. I mean, we got to remember with Edgecombe, he's 19 years old. And as we get into the nuts and bolts of what happened tonight, what's happening right now as we speak as well, Minnesota actively shopping the 31st pick, the first pick in the second round tonight, 5 on the West Coast, 8 on the East Coast, apparently because there's no French centers left for them to take after Jean Berenger at 17. But the big athletic wing, Mac, and we saw 2 teams in the finals that really emphasized that position. They had great success. It is kind of the new trend in the league for the big athletic wing, and VJ Edgecombe fit that profile perfectly. And I got to applaud the Sixers for grabbing him there.
So funny. The NBA is such a copycat league. You see one team do it, and then everybody else is just kind of jumping right on board. The other thing that we have to realize, and as I was going through and kind of watching this, the draft has changed in a lot of ways, and one of the ways is when we were young and watching the draft, most of the guys had played 3 or 4 years, most of them 4 years. Nowadays we get a lot of these one and dones, and a lot of these guys were so young, 19, 20, 21 going in. It's still a big adjustment for them from not the basketball itself is going to be a little bit of an adjustment, and we know that. But just the idea, I think of like my kids. I'm like, I can't imagine my kids living by themselves on a professional team, going from city to city to city. I mean, it's a big adjustment for these kids. And I think that's why sometimes we see, we talk about, why don't we give grades to these? Well, there's a reason. Some of these kids still need years of development before they're actually going to hit their potential.
Yeah, absolutely. And, the one thing before we get into the nuts and bolts, we've each got a favorite from last night, a head scratcher from last night. We'll get into those. But can we stop with a trade to be finalized later bullshit? I get it. The new league year starts on July 6th. But all you're doing is confusing the hell out of people. We're putting the wrong hats on guys. Like, I thought we were done with this. A, the hats looked horrible last night. That's
the hats are terrible. The hats were terrible. Jesus.
Yeah, can we stop with it? Just stop. It's confusion. It was like when the Suns pick came up, and that's obviously something we're going to get to here very quickly. But, it's like, so just in case you were living under a damn rock and you're an NBA fan and you didn't know that Kevin Durant got traded, this is actually the Suns pick. No shit. We all know that. Why are we still doing this? Like, just stop. Okay, your league year starts on the 6th. We already know. Barring some catastrophic event, nothing's going to change here. Stop confusing people. Sorry, old man yelling at cloud. Maybe. I don't know.
No, but it's true. I mean, because they're saying it beforehand. They go, this pick is actually, XYZ team. And so, and then they go up there, they get the silly hat for a team that they're never going to play for. It just, again, the quality of the whole thing is just kind of weird for me. It just, from the hats to just the way things were done last night, it wasn't the best. Let's just put it that way.
And I mean, like, on top of that, we can go all the way back to the Penny Hardaway, Chris Webber deal when we were putting the wrong hats on guys, even though we knew they had already been traded. So let's get into some of our favorites. I'll get us started here with a guy whose name is going to come up later in the show. We've got some MLB to talk about. We've got an either or. I'm going to gauge Mack's fandom. I'm going to get on Mack for sabotaging liquid locks again. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the NHL. But Ryan Smith is the owner of the Utah Jazz. He's also the owner of the Utah Mammoth, formerly known as the Utah Hockey Club, formerly known as the Arizona Coyotes and the Phoenix Coyotes, and this, that, and the other thing. Ryan Smith wants to play big. He wants to push all his chips in on the table. He's going to be aggressive. The things that they're doing to the Delta Center, I loved what Utah did last night. And I know Ryan Smith did not make the picks, so calm down out there in comment land. Feel free to comment along. Tell us what your team did in the draft, how you thought they did. What do you think they're doing in free agency? Feel free to jump in. But Utah, they take Ace Bailey when he's there at 5, and I think it's a great pick. Whether Ace Bailey wanted to go there or not, I think once he gets in there, and they talked about this on the coverage last night a little bit, he's going to realize the opportunity he has to quickly become a superstar in Utah with the way they play and the way their roster is currently constructed. And I mentioned this yesterday morning when I did my draft preview video that I thought Walter Clayton was a great fit for Miami. But I said if he was going to be there for Miami. I really didn't think of the teams that were there was going to be a lot of teams that passed on Walter Clayton. You saw what he did in the NCAA tournament. Some of you are going to say it's because I'm a Florida fan. If you're a basketball fan, Walter Clayton is a big-time player. And to get Ace Bailey and Walter Clayton, I think Utah should be screaming from the whatever mountains are out there. Sorry, geography was not one of my best subjects. But Utah, I think, had a fantastic draft, and to get those two guys in there, I think you got to be hella jacked if you're a Jazz fan today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get two guys that are athletic. You get two guys that are physical. I mean, they're going to be they're going to be able to play right away for the Jazz as well, and I think that's one of the cool things about it. And they're going to be able to help this team kind of move forward. And I mean, that's an exciting time. We don't usually put Utah high on our list of exciting places for sports, but they've got a couple of teams right now that are really going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I'm telling you right now, Ryan Smith's name is going to come up later in the show. Matt, give me your favorite from last night's draft, the team you thought did really well, made the best move, maybe didn't make a move, which was a good move. Who did you like last night?
Well, I'm going to eliminate the Celtics right off the bat, so no, I'll just go. I think the Charlotte Hornets. I like what they did from a couple of different ways. First, they made a trade to get rid of Williams. I think that was a good trade. They got a couple of picks back. They ended up using one of those picks. Con Knubel, he is a great shooter, really good defender. That's going to help them right off the bat. They got Liam McNeely, a little bit of a homer on there from, he went to UConn. You have to remember, he played with Cooper Flagg. He's a pretty good talent. He knows. Here's the thing that I like about him, and it didn't happen at UConn. At UConn, they tried to make him a number one, like the guy to go to. I don't know that he's the guy to go to, but when you play across from Cooper Flagg, you know how to defer, and I think that's going to help him come the NBA. But I thought for Charlotte, getting Knubel, a good shooter is going to spread that floor for ball a little bit more. I thought Charlotte did a really good job last night.
Man, we are going to have some fun this upcoming NBA season with Mack and the name Con Knippel. You see the Northeastern coming out in him there. You mentioned Charlotte shipping off a couple of picks.
Yes.
To Phoenix, who worked really hard to regain assets. And drafting Malawach, I love it. The upside on Malawach, huge. And Phoenix had a toughness issue, which they've addressed with Dylan Brooks. And they had a rim protector issue, which they addressed with Malawach. But then they go and take the only first-round pick that they could have traded in 2029 and sent that to Charlotte in addition to the 29th pick that Charlotte used to draft Liam McNeely. I just don't understand the Suns' thought process, because now we have a team that's got 72 shooting guards and like 4 centers, like 3-2 defense. I mean, sure, but yeah, I don't know if you got the right defensive coordinator in for that. I mean, yes, did Phoenix have a need? Sure they did, but Phoenix has a lot of needs, and to get back-to-back centers is a little bit of a head scratcher for me. And it's almost like, I know they didn't think Malawach was going to be there at 10. I don't think any of us thought Malawach was going to be there at 10. So what I think was happening, and again, we're not privy to this because we're not in the war room, but, I think as things were unfolding, they knew they needed a center, and they started the conversation with Charlotte on Mark Williams, and then Malawach falls in their lap, and they go center, because they don't have enough time to react to it. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. Sure as hell looked like that's what happened, and I get it. They had needs, but they still have a lot of needs, and they don't have a lot of money to spend. And yes, there's been some rumors that a couple of teams might be interested in Bradley Beal. Don't ask me how or why, but sure, if you want to go down that road, he still has no trade clause. I could see him maybe saying, yeah, let me out of here. I want out of here. I want to go play somewhere where I'm wanted. But you spread the wealth when you need to address needs. You don't just throw everything into one category. And that's what the Suns did. And again, they remain head scratchers, even with a new regime.
Yeah, I don't understand that either. But I mean, let's be honest. We've known for a while the Phoenix Suns do the unthinkable things a lot of times. And this was another one. I think you're right. I just don't understand why they would make this move. I mean, even if they knew they were going to make the trade or make the pick, whatnot. I mean, again, they have too many other needs. It just again, they're one of the again they're one of those organizations that's always confusing to me. They take one good step and then it seems like they take 3 steps back, and they just can never seem to get out of their own way.
Yeah, and it's a time where, yeah, it is. I'm excited to see the backcourt duo of Devin Booker and Jalen Green. Again, they needed the toughness issue addressed, and they did that with Dylan Brooks. But there's so many holes on this roster still, and again, just a head scratcher. Who was your head scratcher last night? As I scratch my head, ugh, fleas.
Yeah, Portland kind of confused me a little bit with picking the big center Yang from China. Again, I mean, I'm going to be the first to say I don't know a whole lot about him, but if that's going to be your pick in the first round, I don't understand the why that would be your pick with everything that was there. If that's your only pick in the first round, that's where you go. That to me doesn't make sense. That to me seems like a pick that is, I don't know. Again, I haven't seen him play, so I really don't know that part. But from what I hear, I don't know that he's going to be NBA ready. That seems like a weird pick to me.
Yeah, they're calling him the Chinese Jokic, which is a hell of a thing to live up to there. But yeah, Portland, they just made the trade to get Jrue Holiday back, essentially, even though he didn't ever play for them the first time. But yeah, Portland, definitely a head scratcher last night. A lot of talk about New Orleans, and this is a team we've spent the last couple of days talking about. And I think this is the classic example here of calm the hell down, let these guys play some games before we jump off the bridge and reacting to stuff. Joe Dumars is going to have an identity for that New Orleans team. And everybody's like, oh, how can you send an unprotected first, to move up 10 spots? Well, let me give you some background here. So for those of you that didn't see it, Derek Queen was the pick for New Orleans. They traded an unprotected first and this year's 23rd, which Atlanta used to take Asa Newell from Georgia. Great pick. Gets to stay close to where he played college ball. And everybody's balking at the unprotected first. Well, the unprotected first is the better of Milwaukee or New Orleans. And you would look at what New Orleans is doing and saying, well, they're going to be a lottery team again next year. I'm not so sure that that's the case. Dumars is going to spend some money. He's going to build an identity with this team. And here's something else to remember. If Derek Queen is an all-star, does anybody give a shit about the unprotected first? No, they don't. 13th pick in the draft. Well, that's a lot. That's not that much to move up for a guy picked number 13. Well, nobody thought Devin Booker was going to be anything at 13. Sleepy Floyd, Jalen Rose, Dale Davis, and some guy named Karl Malone. So let's not forget here that the MVP in the NBA this year was the 11th pick in the draft. You don't know anything about any of these guys. And New Orleans was terrible on defense. They were terrible in rebounding. And what is the big thing everybody's talking about with Derek Queen? Good rebounder, good defender. And yes, I know I've seen the jokes that, Zion Williamson is excited because his new teammates and the initials is DQ. We're not going to go there, even though I just went there. Best available players as we enter round 2 today. Tyrese Proctor from Duke, Chaz Lanier from Tennessee, Rasheer Fleming from St. Joe's, Maxine Reynaud from Stanford, a teammate of Victor Wembanyama's, Ryan Kalkbrenner from Creighton, and Jameer Watkins, a guy who I love. And we talk about the influx of stretch big wings. Watkins has a 6'11 wingspan, secondary ball handler from Florida State. Needs to improve on the three-point shooting a little bit here. It's going to be an interesting start to the draft. As we mentioned right off the top, Minnesota, as we speak, is actively shopping the 31st pick to the highest bidder. So we've got Minnesota, Boston, Charlotte, Philly, and then the Brooklyn Nets for their 6th pick at number 36 overall. I'm interested to see where a couple of these guys go, Mac. We were talking before we started here. I really can see the Celtics taking Reynaud from Stanford via France. I can see kind of a poor man's version of Kristaps Porzingis in him. I know he's not going to be Hugo Boss or Michael Kors or any of those guys you're looking for Boston after last night's pick. But Ryan Kalkbrenner is going to be another interesting one. I could very much see him going to Charlotte, and I think McNeely, Konkanippel, and Ryan Kalkbrenner is a hell of a draft.
I'm glad I only have to watch 2 picks today because the Celtics have the second pick, and I get a little bit of a reprieve after their, Hugo. So I listened to Brad Stevens, just his press conference, and this is how he started off talking about Hugo Gonzalez. He's tough. He plays hard. He cuts. He goes for the loose balls. Those are the qualities that the Celtics got in their first round draft pick. He cuts. He's a good cutter. I'm excited about that because the Celtics lacked good cutters last year.
One of the final remaining pieces of note here that came out of last night's draft, and I think it's a very interesting situation, and it might be my Christmas in June, if you will. The Miami Heat, missing out on Kevin Durant, have interest in restricted free agent Jonathan Kuminga of the Golden State Warriors. Warrior fans out there right now that are going, hell yeah, Bam Adebayo for Jonathan Kuminga, put your pipe down because that ain't going to happen. Remember this, he's a restricted free agent, and Joe Lacob has gone on record saying that they are going to match anything that anybody gives Kuminga. Miami has to do something. Miami desperately needs to do something, and the athleticism and the potential for Kuminga is something we talked about the other day. The Warriors can match that, but here's the interesting thing for the Warriors in this situation, and hopefully somebody talks some sense into Mr. Lacob, who, by all means, has given me the best 15 years of being a Warrior fan of my life. So let's get that out there right now. Without Jonathan Kuminga on the roster, Golden State will be $17.5 million below the luxury tax, $25.5 million and $37 million below both aprons that it would be allowed to use their $14.1 million non-tax mid-level exception, but would not be allowed to exceed the first apron after they fill the roster out. We've talked about this. Jonathan Kuminga holds the entire Warriors offseason hostage because of what they're going to do with him. The Warriors desperately need a rim protector, and they need scorers. So that's going to be something interesting to see here because Monday at 3 o'clock here on the West Coast, the negotiating window is open. On July 6th at 9:01 in the morning on the West Coast, that's when you can start to sign free agents. So this is the biggest smoke that we've seen around Jonathan Kuminga, and Miami now desperate to make moves because of losing out on Kevin Durant. Something to keep an eye on as we go forward. Mack, Major League Baseball rolling as we go along. We've got some games in action tonight, or in action right now. We'll get to those in a second, but some highlights from last night's game. We'll go around the horn here real quick of some games of note. One game that was on while we were on yesterday. An announced crowd of 42,774, a sellout, even though it didn't look like a sellout, but an announced crowd of a sellout in Milwaukee for the Miz, who's now 3-0 for the Brewers in a 4-2 win for the Brewers. 5 innings, 2 hits, no earned, 8 Ks, a 1.13 ERA for Jacob Mizraski, and he beats Paul Skeens, who only went 4 innings yesterday, 4 hits, 4 earned, 4 strikeouts, 2 walks. Skeens falls to 2.12 ERA and 4-7 on the season. The Miz is awesome.
Yes. I'll tell you, like I said, I really like this Milwaukee team. In the last month, they have the best record in baseball. They're 18-8, and they head out to Colorado. But I have to tell you, the best thing that I saw on the internet yesterday was a picture of the Miz, and right next to it says that Livy Dunn is changing boyfriends. She now wants to date the Miz.
I can't wait till we get the actual Miz, the original Miz, to comment somewhere on this. I mean, it's coming. Game yesterday that we featured in our Liquid Locks. Mack had Nick Pivetta under 17.5 outs. He did exceed that mark. Pitched a gem for San Diego as they beat the Nationals 1-0. Nick Pivetta needs to be in your National League Cy Young conversations. 7-2 now on the season. He goes 7 innings yesterday, 3 hits, no earned, and 10 strikeouts with no walks for the Friars. Defeats Mackenzie Gore. Just an absolute gem from Nick Pivetta.
Yeah, it's a great game. I mean, Pavetta's a bulldog. I mean, I loved him. It was at Boston. I really wanted them to re-sign him. He's up and down. I mean, he's your typical 3-4 starter, but he can. This is exactly what he can do. And Mackenzie Gore pitched well as well. 6 innings, 5 hits. He had 6 strikeouts. I mean, he's had himself a really good year. We just don't hear about it because he's with Washington, and it's kind of like the Red Sox with Crochet. They can't get him any wins, or Skeens with Pittsburgh. They can't get him any wins. So I like the matchup this weekend, though. San Diego and Cincinnati. At San Diego going out to Cincinnati. That's going to be a fun matchup because both those teams are starting to vie for a wild card. Cincinnati taking the series from the Yanks.
Yeah, absolutely. And we'll get to that one in a second. Speaking of your aforementioned Red Sox, the Angels 5, Red Sox 2. The Angels sweep. They are 40-40 on the season. DJ's probably jumping in the Hudson right now in New York because the Angels are 500. Yusei Kikuchi continues his home dominance. 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned and 12 strikeouts. His last 3 home starts, 21 and a third, 10 hits, 2 earned runs, 26 strikeouts. The Red Sox return home tomorrow against Toronto. Their roadies started 3-1, and they finished it in dynamic fashion, going 0-5 with the sweep yesterday. You're a Red Sox, man. I just saw the white flag. It might be that time.
Well, 2 things. I mean, they get really bad news yesterday. Cutter Crawford's not going to pitch this year because of a wrist injury. I mean this in all sincere fashion. I'm not blaming Alex Cora, but here, and I've said it. They don't run the bases well. They don't catch the ball well. The lineups are weird. I'm surprised he's still the manager. I'm very honest. I don't know if they get swept this weekend. I don't know that he's still the manager come Monday. I really don't. He has that look. Not I can't explain it, but just utter frustration, and I don't know what to do. And I think I'd be surprised if they get swept if he's there on Monday.
Yeah, it's something to definitely keep an eye on. The Texas Rangers, their bats starting to heat up. They beat Baltimore 7-0 last night. Jacob deGrom moves to 8-2 with a 2.08 ERA on the season. Nice. Brandon Young takes the loss. deGrom, 7 innings, 1 hit. He gave up that hit to start the 8th inning, carried a no-hitter into the 8th inning. First batter, Colton Cowser, broke up the no-no for Jacob, but fantastic performance from him. Much needed win for the Rangers, and those bats are starting to heat up, which is something we've been looking for out of Texas. 10 shutouts this season. They get a shutout in their favor last night.
2 games out of the wild card. They they play Seattle this weekend. Nasty Nate starting on Friday. It's going to be a good weekend series for them. That's what they need. Catch up. They're 7 games out of the West, but listen, worry about what's in front of you, and Seattle is squarely in front of them in that wild card.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned the Reds, who have been on a little bit of a roll. They get kind of the brakes thrown on them yesterday. 7-1, they lose to the Yankees. Max Fried, the first 10-game winner in the big leagues, 10-2 now with a .92 ERA for the Yanks. That one's looked like it's working perfectly. Brady Singer takes a loss for the Reds, 7-6 for Singer. Jazz Chisholm hit a home run last night. A little bit of a fun moment with former teammate Jose Trevino. Chisholm was ejected the night before. Trevino said some things right before the umpire tossed Chisholm. Aaron Boone had some comments. Aaron Boone's obviously feeling a little bit of the pressure, and the pressure is coming from the Tampa Bay Rays, who entering today are 1 game behind the Yankees, and it came out this morning, much to TJ's dismay, that the Rays are in conversations with Major League Baseball as to what to do as far as LCS games and possible World Series games if they have to play them somewhere else, which they will, because they're not going to play them at Steinbrenner Field. The Rays are putting the pressure on somehow, some way yet again.
It's kind of funny. One guy I want to mention for the Yankees, though, Trent Grissom, having a great year. He's having an all-star year. He should be on that all-star team. He's having a really good year for the Yanks. But why would they want to play? Why wouldn't they want to play there? I don't understand. Where else are they going to play? I mean, you're going to move them to another stadium where their fans can't get to it? I mean, that would be typical Rays baseball, right? Let's make the playoffs and go to Texas where our fan base can't get to the games.
The funny thing is, when you bring it up, it's like, why would they want to move? Like, we've already seen that they can't sell out games. So leave them somewhere that they can and let the ballpark be a factor in the championship series. Something to keep an eye on. A lot of baseball left. Finally, the last game from last night before we get you caught up on what's going on right now. The Mets finally beat the Braves 7-3. Clay Holmes moves to 8-4 on the season. Fuentes takes the loss for the Bravos. Edwin Diaz with the save number 16. The Mets stopped the bleeding. They're a half game behind Philly entering today. Ronnie Mauricio with a home run. And oh, by the way, Mr. Soto is heating up 2 home runs for the Metropolitans last night. And they needed that win big time because the Braves have been a pain in their ass for the last 37 games.
Yeah, I mean, the Mets, I guess, if you want to say they get a little bit of a break, they're going to travel to Pittsburgh and take on the Pirates. But yeah, that was a big game for the Mets. They needed that one after blowing one the other night.
Mac, there's 5 games going on in Major League Baseball right now. Why don't you take us around the horn on what's going on as we speak?
You get it. Gleyber Torres with a home run. Tigers up on the Athletics 5-0. Guardians trailing the Blue Jays 3-0. That game is in the middle of the 7th. Tampa Bay, the Rays, wherever they're going to play, we don't know, but they're beating the Royals right now, 2-0. The best series of the week continues to be the Phillies and the Astros, a 1-0 game, a 2-0 game. This one's in the bottom of the third. It might already be over because the Astros are leading 1-0. That might be the only run that they really need in that game. And then the Cardinals and Cubs, bottom of the third. Cubs lead that one 1-0. Dodgers and Rockies, a little bit of a delay there. They're getting ready to go here shortly.
Yeah, another delay also in Minnesota. Giants and Marlins will come up right after we get off the show. Giants looking to avoid a sweep at the hands of the freaking Marlins. I'm telling you, people, you don't want to believe me. You don't want to believe me.
And they have a lot of junk to deal. They have junk to deal with today.
Yeah, Hayden Birdsong and my guy Jansen Junk on the bump. All right, before we talk a little hockey here, Mac, it's time to play a little either or. And I'm going to change it up on you today. I've got a trivia question for you. I'm also going to, you are the killer of hope, the guy on the show in the group text that always ends a game in the first 10 minutes when somebody goes on a 15-0 run. So I figured it would be a good time with everything going on to gauge the Mack optimism meter of your 4 teams and put these in order for me. And yeah, the hockey team, we're still trying to decide where you're going to take your talent. So I just volunteered a team for you. Your optimism meter, rank these from worst or from best to worst, highest to lowest. The Steelers, the Red Sox, the Celtics, and the Carolina Hurricanes. Where is the Mactimism meter on your 4 squads before I test your trivia brain?
I'll start at number 4. It's the Red Sox. I have no confidence in this team whatsoever. This is a done year. Trade away the guys that you can trade away. Get some young prospects. I love the young guys. Don't get me wrong. Just let them play at this point. The Red Sox would be at number 4. Number 3, I'm going to put the Celtics. I'm going to put the Celtics at number 3 just because it's going to be an interesting year. I mean, they basically have, after last night, we know what their core is going to be. It's going to be Brown and White and Tatum. Now they're going to see what happens, how they kind of build around that. And number 2 is going to be the Carolina Hurricanes. I'm excited about the Hurricanes this season. I think they have a lot to do. We'll talk about that here in just a little bit, which means the Pittsburgh Steelers are at number 1. Listen, this is still a good team. They have an amazing quarterback this year, and Aaron Rodgers, who is going to lead them to a playoff game, and we'll see what happens.
That was hard for you to say, wasn't it?
It was hard. It was hard for me to say.
All right. Trivia time for you. Duke last night, 3 freshmen picked in the top 10 with Flagg, Knipple, and Malowich last night. That's the first time it's been done since Duke did it last in 2019. Now, drafts get a little confusing. They get a little mucky muck. So we're going to see. This is a hard one. when Duke did it in 2019 without cheating, who were the three freshmen picked in the top 10? And bonus points for you if you can name their pick and where they went.
Let me think. 2019.
2019.
That was Zion, wasn't? Was that Zion?
That was Zion. Okay. Where did he go?
Was it the Pelicans? Did they actually pick him?
Yes, at number 1.
Okay.
I'll give you a hint when you want one.
No, RJ Barrett wasn't. Was RJ Barrett? No. Was he Duke? He's North Carolina.
Oh my God! You just pissed off everybody on Tobacco
Road. I can't remember.
RJ Barrett was a freshman at Duke.
He was. I thought so. I get them confused. I don't know who the last one was. I'm trying to remember. I'm glad I got those two.
So RJ Barrett went.
What team?
RJ Barrett went 3 to the Knicks. The next guy went number 10 to Atlanta. And is no longer in Atlanta. There's a bonus clue for you.
Oh, Reddish.
Hey, very good. Vegas Mack, everybody.
Yeah, see? All right.
NHL draft.
Now my brain's fried.
On Friday, as if we haven't had enough draft brain confusion. Round 1, Friday at 5 o'clock on ESPN. Wow. Rounds 2 through 7 are Saturday starting at 9 a.m. Eastern noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific on ESPN. Live from the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles. The free agent frenzy opens on Tuesday, July 1st at 9 a.m. on the West Coast. We will be on at 11 a.m. on the West Coast. Plenty of stuff going on. The draft order, the Islanders, the Sharks, the Blackhawks, the Mammoth, the Predators, and the Flyers. That's your top 6. So Mitch Marner is the prize that we all know of the offseason, and a shout out to Sean McIndoe from The Athletic. He had a fun little list, and we're going to go through this, of best fits for Mitch Marner. And we will give you our best fits for Mitch Marner, but I wanted to go through his list here because it was pretty hilarious the way he broke it down. So the teams that need Mitch Marner the most: Seattle, Utah, LA, Detroit, and Carolina. The worst situation for Toronto: any Canadian team, anyone in the Atlantic, Carolina, Toronto on a record deal, or he takes a discount because he wants to win. Bad for the rest of the league, McIndoe continued. Carolina, Tampa, Florida, Vegas, anywhere on a 2-year deal, which is something that we've seen as of late. These guys taking 2-year deals, not these big long-term deals. Finally, most likely, he ranked it as Pittsburgh, because we know Kyle Dubas is not afraid to give Mitch Marner a blank check. The LA Kings, Carolina, a mystery team, and Las Vegas. So with Marner being the prize, we're going to make a couple of predictions here that when we are on the air on Tuesday, our next show at 11:30 on the West Coast, 2:30 on the East Coast. By that time, will Mitch Marner have signed, and where will he have signed? I'm going to give you 3 here. Number 1, Nashville. I think there is a lot of truth to what TJ proposed. I think the stench of last year for the Predators is something that they want to wash away quickly, and Marner's a guy that can do that for you. And there's no state taxes, since everybody thinks that's a big deal. Second, I'm going to get to in a second. My third pick would be Detroit. Yzerman finally caves to the pressure, goes out and gets, we know, and we talked about this last week. I said Detroit was the team I had my eye on. They need the fans in Detroit, because Detroit is thriving as a sports city right now. They want that big name. They want that frontline player. They need defense help. I think maybe I could see a situation where Yzerman caves and Marner is in Detroit. My second team, which after seeing an interview with him on the Pat McAfee show this morning, is Utah. And I talked about Ryan Smith at the beginning of the show. They make a big deal last night, trading Michael Kesserling and Josh Doan to Buffalo for J.J. Peterka, who instantly signed a 5-year, $7.7 per year, $38.5 million extension with Utah. Utah needed a goal-scoring wing, and they got that. I think Ryan Smith wants to make waves and wants to make noise, especially in their second year now in Utah. I could very much see Mitch Marner ending up in Utah. Not going to be as much pressure as there was in Toronto and really a guy that could put an already talented team in Utah, Mack, over the hump, which obviously wouldn't make people out here in Arizona very happy.
Yeah, I don't even like to talk about that team, quite honestly, but I will. Yeah, I mean, it would be good for him. I mean, although, I mean, I think I mean, to trade away a Doan, can they do that? Is that something that they can actually do? I mean, I thought that was
it's against the law in Arizona, not in Utah.
But I mean, I know. I mean, for years, we said about the Utah team that they were so close, so close. All these young guys, Clayton Keller and whatnot, like we're right there, right there, right there. We said it right till they left, and then they were close to making it last year. I'm glad they have an owner that wants to go and make this team special, and that would definitely make them special. That would probably be enough to get them into the playoffs at least.
Yeah, and again, the Paterka signing might be enough to get him into the playoffs as well. And he mentioned it. It was hard to part with Kesserling and Doan. They're two great guys. I mean, obviously everybody out in Arizona, Doan is hockey royalty as far as this state goes. And who knows, maybe down the road, hockey comes back to the desert. And I can guarantee you, if hockey comes back to the desert, that Shane Doan is going to be a massive part of it. Because it's just what should happen. So give me your Mitch Marner predictions, because it could be done before we get on the air on Tuesday.
I'm going with one team because I only think there's one chance that one team he goes to, and I think it's Vegas. I mean, they just signed Brendan Saad and Riley Smith. Vegas is not afraid to make the moves. We've seen that since this organization has been. They're not afraid to make this big move. I talked about yesterday maybe trading Tomas Hertl to Carolina, but I really think it's going to be Vegas. If I have to pick a second team, the second team that I think it could be Carolina. Although for Carolina, before they sign any sort of flashy wing, they need a center. That to me, that's what they need. They need to have a center. So I think it's Vegas. I think Vegas is the destination. That is a team that is really close. I mean, we know it. They're close. I mean, you could say with the signing of Marner that they could be in a very, very good position to win the West.
Yeah, and you mentioned one of their transactions from just yesterday. Riley Smith re-signs 1 year, $2 million extension. A lot of people forget he was one of the OG Vegas Golden Knights in 2017. Third most penalty kill minutes of Vegas's forwards in the playoffs. They reacquired him last year at the deadline from the Rangers. 11 goals, 11 points in 21 games in the regular season, 3 playoff goals. Obviously, everybody remembers the biggest one, which was the buzzer beater against Edmonton. He's got the third most goals in franchise history, too. I mean, he is an OG Vegas Golden Knight. Jamie Benn, much to TJ's chagrin, re-signed this morning with the Dallas Stars. $1 million deal for 1 year. He can earn up to $3 million in performance-based incentives. Second on games played, goals, points, and franchise history. He is going to be 35 years old. We've talked about the changes in Dallas, and obviously Ben was not one of the changes that they wanted to make. Again, I agree with TJ. This team needs to get younger, but there's only certain things that they can do. And this morning, this one kind of hurt a little bit. The Sharks have waived Marc-Edouard Vlasic to people out in the Bay Area, commonly known as Pickles. 19 years in the organization. He's going to be 38 years old. He will now be an unrestricted free agent. They bought out the last year of his contract. So on July 1st, there's another name, veteran defenseman, that can help teams, and there's a lot of teams that need defense help going into this offseason. So another name, there will be more names as we come through the weekend. More guys will re-sign with their teams, and then the free agent frenzy, again, it gets going right away. We will be on the air we might bump up that show just a half hour or so earlier on Tuesday, just in case there. But Tuesday, we will be on the air. We'll keep you caught up with that. So as we go into this, Mac, with the draft on starting on Friday night here, let's each throw out a team here that we think is going to make the biggest splash between the draft and free agency. And I'll start us off. I think it's going to be Columbus. This is a team that has damn near $40 million in cap space. Only second in the league to San Jose, who cleared more cap space. They have 2 firsts. They have their 13th and then the 20th that they got from Minnesota. They need defense help. And again, there's a lot of teams that do. They need a top line talent, a Mitch Marner kind of guy would fit. But some interesting kind of things here. If the McConnell family tells them to spend to the cap, Don Waddell will. But one thing he has said is he doesn't like giving long-term deals to players in their 30s. They also need to address their goaltender situation, and they kind of did that today in a weird way. They sent Daniil Tarasov to Florida, but they've got interesting decisions with Provorov, with Fabro, with Van Riemsdyk. Again, the goaltending issue, they were rumored to be in on Mason Marchment. That didn't work out for them. But I think Columbus is in a position, and we kind of talked about the Metro yesterday. I think Columbus is in a position here where they could surprise some people and make a huge splash, especially if the McConnell family, tells Waddell, go ahead and spend to the cap, which we know has gone up. And there is some CBA stuff that's rumored to be coming into play here very soon. We don't have enough time to get to that today, but it is going to impact signing bonuses, game schedule, dress codes even. We'll get to a little bit more of that on Tuesday because I would imagine by Tuesday it's going to be kind of done. But I really think Columbus could be a team that we go, holy shit, man, they're going after it right now. And I hope they do.
Yeah, I mean, Columbus was really, really close last year of getting in. That is always been a fun team, always been a difficult team. I remember when the Coyotes used to play them all the time. Very, very difficult to play Columbus. They always struggled with that team, and it was always fun to see a team in Columbus do well. So that's a really, really fun market. For me, the team that I want to highlight is Anaheim. Pat Verbeek, I think he wants to take a big step. I don't think he wants to take the next step. I think he wants to take a big step. And that next big step would be for Anaheim to get to the playoffs. I think Anaheim is going to make a splash in free agency.
Yeah, Jay Woodcroft, rumored to be joining Joel Quenneville's new staff in Anaheim once his deal expires with Edmonton, which is right around the start of the new league year here. So plenty of stuff going on. NBA draft second round tonight, movers and shakers. We'll see if anything else comes out of this. MLB is in a good spot right now heading into a key part of the season. And again, as we just talked about, the NHL and the NHL draft and free agency all getting going. No rest for the wicked, man, after basketball and hockey season. And we're not complaining about it one bit whatsoever. It's time to finish up the week, finish up the show with some liquid locks, and we'll go back before we go forward. Yesterday, we go 2-2. It puts us 7-4 on the week. Mack had Corey Seager to homer, and
not bad.
Seager to homer, did not homer. Nick Pivetta to go under 17.5 outs. He did not do that either. So, what the hell? Why are you putting out an 0-2?
Hey,
do we need a pep talk?
Because I'm going to do no, we're good. We're good.
I went 2-0 last night.
Just like in baseball.
I went 2-0 last night.
I was going to say, maybe I put all my energy. I was going to say, maybe I put all my energy into my golf. If you notice, Zach Johnson -7. I threw that one out there yesterday. So maybe I had more of my energy on golf than baseball yesterday.
Minwoo Lee currently leading the Rocket Mortgage Classic, a 9 under 63 today. Crowded leaderboard. Andrew Putman, Aldrich Potgieter, one back at 8, and a whole host of guys, including the aforementioned Zach Johnson at -7. Yesterday, I dropped the 2-0 for us. A's in the first 5 off of Nicholas Kurtz home run as they beat the Tigers last night, and then Toronto and Cleveland over 8. So today, we have not a whole lot to work with here. We only have 2 games in Major League Baseball starting after us. So interested to see where you go. I'll start us off. I am going to reluctantly take the San Francisco can't score Giants to avoid the sweep against Miami today with Hayden Birdsong on the bump. And I'm hoping we get a lot of junk from Jansen for the Marlins because the Giants are in a stretch here of the games they have to win before the stretch I keep talking about and why I don't think they're a playoff team. They have to get this win today. So I'm going to take the Giants. My second pick, I'm going to take a rare under in Major League Baseball. I hate betting these because every swing of the bat could screw you over, but I am going to take the Mets and Atlanta under 8.5, which is the last game of the evening tonight. I don't like doing that. I don't like betting unders, but the field was limited for choices today, so I only had so much to do. And I will defend my pick here. Tonight's pitching matchup is Grant Holmes, who was electric the last time he was out, against Griffin Canning, who has been very good for the Mets as well. And they need him to be because Sean Manaea sounds like he might not pitch at all this season. So Giants money line, Braves and Mets under 8.5 to the liquid lock master, Vegas Mack.
Well, I gave you one yesterday. I'm just going to reiterate it because they're actually playing today. I'm going to start in the CFL. Remember, I've got the Blue Bombers of Winnipeg, giving 9.5 points against the Edmonton Elks. So that was my one from yesterday, but they're playing today. So let's put that down. I'm going to that same game. I'm going to the Mets game. Okay. I'm taking Juan Soto. Okay, Juan Soto over 1.5 total bases. Juan Soto over 1.5 total bases. And I'm going to throw an NBA one at you since I'm only going to watch the first two picks of the draft. The Celtics. I'm going to say I'll screw up his name, but Reynaud from Stanford. He's going to be their pick.
That's pretty close.
However whatever.
Maxime Reynaud.
Reynaud.
Oui. How disappointed are the Minnesota Timberwolves today that there are no French centers available left for them to take? I mean, I would have thought they learned their lesson on the last French center that they took, but who am I to judge?
That's why they're trying to trade that pick. They don't want anything to do with it.
It's going to be interesting. They're trying to sell it to the highest bidder, and I wonder. And again, there are some players available here that I think are good fits for a lot of these teams coming up, but. Minnesota again actively shopping.
But do we have to have a day two of this? Do we really have to have a day two? We can't squeeze that into day one. I mean, and I don't mean to be like one of those things. Like a lot of these guys, these second round guys, I mean, history has shown that they're not usually NBA stars. So just let's get it over.
Draymond Green would like a word with you, sir. Draymond Green would like a word with you. Here, I
said most. I didn't say all.
Let's see.
Call Draymond.
Before we get out of here for the week. As I'm typing away here. Jalen Brunson.
Hey, I'll give you a baseball update while you're. I was going to give you.
Go ahead. Give me a baseball update.
Oh,
we got 3 minutes.
Tigers now up 7-0. Jays up. Jays up 3-0. End of 8. Rays up 4-0, top of 6 against KC. I told you that Astros game in Philly still 1-0. Cubs up 2-0. And Dodgers and Rockies, if you can believe it, it's already the bottom of the second. There's only 1 hit and no runs. That's got to be a record.
What the hell? Notable second round draft picks. Jalen Brunson, Chris Middleton, who is one of the 77 expiring contracts currently actively rostered by the Washington Wizards. Draymond Green. And how could you forget the Taco Bell commercial and Nikola Jokic? I think it was a beefy 5-layer burrito. Somebody tweeted last night at the beginning of the draft after me and everybody else tweeted, oh my God, Cooper Flagg went number 1 to Dallas. That Taco Bell's marketing department was failing them if they didn't have a commercial during the draft last night, which I totally agree with.
I know.
Yeah, I mean, do we see a ton of fantastic players that pan out in the second round? No. It's 50-50. But I think there are some guys, and again, we talked about a couple of them. I think Reynaud could develop into a good player. You've got Ryan Kalkbrenner, Rasheer Fleming, Jameer Watkins is a guy I really, really love a lot, and I think Indiana is a good target for him in that spot. So again, next week, a shorter week for us, Tuesday and Wednesday, and then we are going to spend some time with the families and enjoy the 4th of July holiday, which we hope all of you do. And again, my annual PSA for everybody heading into 4th of July, don't JPP yourself. Now, that being said, tomorrow on the show, Mack will have a baseball, or on the social channels at Mike Arana Show. Mack will have a baseball update in the morning. It's Friday, so we'll play Dollar Dingers. I've got a good guess that since TJ is Mr. Athletics now, since he's going to watch the Athletics in New York against the Yankees, he's going to pick somebody for the A's to hit a home run in that for our Dollar Dingers. But Dollar Dingers tomorrow. Then we'll have some thoughts on Saturday, Mack's Wild Ride, the Mack 60, where he takes us through all the stories that don't get the attention throughout the week. And then I'll keep you apprised on some of the latest and greatest in the NHL and in the NBA. So for everybody behind the scenes, for TJ, living it up in New York City, for Vegas, Mack, and Mike, we will talk to you again in this form on Tuesday. We're out.